Welcome back to Bunny Hoof Studio. So I am here today to bring Halloween to you a little earlier this year. Join me for a cozy drawing session in my sketchbook. After a long and very dry summer, I have been really missing autumn, and so I thought I would get into the Halloween spirit earlier this year. I also don't practice drawing outside of finished pieces enough, so this is a really fun way to just try out a different medium and practice some of my drawing skills. So grab your sketchbook or some work you need to get done, your favourite drink, and let's get started together. Hello and happy autumn, almost Halloween. I have been really craving autumn and Halloween vibes, so I thought it would be really nice to do a kind of Halloween themed, autumn themed drawing session or drawing day. And I'm gonna be honest with you, Portugal is actually pretty warm this time of year. Sometimes it's actually really hot in September or October, but I'm actually kind of lucky right now. It's not too warm, so I am slightly overdressed for the weather, but kind of not really. I'm kind of hoping that it stays nice and cool, and I thought it would be really nice to have a little cozy drawing session. I've gathered a bunch of reference material, mostly film stills from two horror films I really enjoyed recently. One of them was Valerie and Her Week of Wonders, which is a really beautiful film, and the other one is Nosferatu, but by Werner Herzog. I had a day where I watched all of the Nosferatu films, and the original is really wonderful. I really loved the Werner Herzog version. I wasn't so into the recent version. Aspects of it were really nice, but I don't know, you can't really beat Werner Herzog. I really love practical effects, and when films are filmed like on location, I'm really not into the overuse of CGI in modern films, so I don't know, I felt like in the Herzog version, you really felt like you were there. Both the versions, the original and the Herzog version, are wonderfully creepy. So I have some new pencils to try out, which I'm really excited about. I'm just kind of gonna go with the flow and see where the creativity takes me. I'm gonna fill some pages. I have 3 different sketchbooks here. I have this one, which I used for my hand studies, which is a video that's up on my channel if you want to watch me draw hands. And I'm probably going to do some drawing in this one. I have my tiny little ink sketchbook. I seem to just use this for ink drawing for some reason. This is what I use to do little scribbles. I take this with me to cafes. I'll do a tiny drawing sometimes. I did this one recently in the park, which might be I'm compiling a summer art vlog, but I can't release it until the commission I worked on that is featured in that video is out, because I can't share the video until that project is out. And then this is my sketchbook I use for thumbnails for all my ideas, but I quite like the paper, so maybe I'll do something in here as well. So I'm gonna get started, and I'm gonna play some music on my headphones, and I don't know what music yet you'll have for this video. I need to write some more. I write all the music in my videos, and I've been so busy I really haven't had time to write any more pieces. I actually was growing the fingernails on this hand so I could play some guitar and write something for my videos. Will I manage that by the time this video is out? I don't know. I also don't know if guitar would suit the kind of Halloween theme or not, so we shall see. I have my vanilla brulee candle and my smoked teak wood candle. Both of them are getting a bit low, but I thought that today was a good occasion for some candles. And my cozy cottage is here, all set up. They have the bakery downstairs and some night cryptid searching watching upstairs, and they have lots of nice pies. I really need to make them some more food. One of the earliest videos I made on this channel was me making miniature food for them, and I haven't made any since, and I really need to. So I'm gonna get started. Before I begin, I'm going to get a feel for this new pencil set. The brand is Butterfinger, and honestly very cheap, so I'm curious how good they are. I'm not remotely an expert in pencils. It's really only a medium I use for prelim sketches, so my opinion on this is that of an amateur. This set has 14 pencils that go all the way up to 14B. I didn't even know 14B existed. Similarly to my colour swatches, I'm going to begin by trying each of them out and writing the pencil type underneath. I was immediately surprised at how good they feel, and especially enjoyed the softer pencils. I also liked though how light the hardest pencils feel, as these are perfect for the prelim sketch before adding shading and detail. I keep my little swatch chart up so I can refer to it while drawing today. So I decided to start drawing from film stills of Valerie and Her Week of Wonders. As I was looking up a refresher for the plot so I can tell you a little bit about it, I also learnt that it was a book first. I actually really love reading, so I would definitely read the book at some point if there's a good translation. The film was made in 1970 in what was called Czechoslovakia at the time, directed by Jaromil Járos, and is described as a gothic coming-of-age, surrealist dark fantasy film. Valerie traverses a world that feels like a disorientating dream. She is constantly coaxed by strange characters, vampires, even priests, and ghostly women and dangerous men. She moves from setting to setting, all intriguing and haunting and beautifully filmed. As someone that is interested in folklore and dark fairy tales, it's really no surprise that I love this film, as it feels very much like a piece of folklore retelling and has many of the nonsensical aspects that I love about fairy tales. Throughout the film, they often show a slightly raised view of the various rooms that Valerie passes through, and I was a little torn between drawing these rooms or focusing more on the characters. As I'd like to improve my figure drawing the most, I decided to focus more on the figures in the films today. Time for a tea break. I am drinking roasted rice green tea with slices of lemon. The next sketch is probably one of the more iconic images from the film. A cloaked demon-like man holds onto Valerie as she points away from them. This hand position was quite challenging, but I think I've improved a little as I managed it without needing to correct much. The part I actually found the hardest was the cloaked figure. Something about the way I sketched this didn't feel quite right, but I couldn't figure it out during the session. I think something to do with the face ratio to the cloak ratio or something wasn't quite right. It can also be quite challenging getting facial features just right when they're partially obscured behind something else. And I wanted to try and get her likeness as accurate as possible in a short space of time. I also find it funny that this quite sinister frame has a really silly looking dog in it. I had to resist the urge to swap it out for something more majestic or sinister. Part of the beauty of the film though is this kind of visual absurdity, so it would feel wrong not to have it in there. I start adding shading once all the prelim lines are finished, and I'm finding that I'm really enjoying these pencils, especially the softest. I switch between 14B, 12B, and HB or 2B for the prelim sketches. I love how dark the 14B looks. It makes shading really enjoyable. I start filling in all the black areas, which feels quite liberating and fun. I'm used to inking primarily, which involves a lot of care and control, and mistakes can't really be removed. There is something really freeing about knowing I can always remove the pencil if an area is too dark. It's also just a lot of fun to scribble like this. I then use some tissue to blend the dark areas, making them feel even denser, also a very fun process. I add in a few more details and start shading Valerie's hair, experimenting with shadows to give it dimension. I honestly didn't spend too much time on the dog, but I just added in enough shading to give a sense of the shapes and texture. I love how the film is filled with lots of moments of symbology in the background, in the surroundings, the lighting and the clothing. I wanted to draw this frame because it's a beautiful moment and also a chance to practice drawing hands some more. I overshaded the hair, so I used my putty rubber to add back in some highlights. If you don't know, a putty rubber is basically a rubber that can be moulded, almost like blue tack I guess. And it's really useful because you can create a finer point if you have a very small area you want to rub out. There's a tiny bit of space up here, so I decided to draw another quick frame. I love how hands and arms are used in this, and the contrast between them and the dark of her hair. I finished this one quite briskly, so the left arm in particular is a little questionable. I have finished my first full page of sketches with my new pencils, and these pencils are really fun. I have been really enjoying using the softest one, which is 14B. It creates such a soft dark line, a very nice feeling sensation to use. So my page of sketches, they were all from film stills of Valerie in her Week of Wonders. I think my favourite is still the first one I did. Maybe it just lends itself better to the pencils. So I've got my page here, and actually my least favourite is this one. It's funny because I was looking forward to doing that one because it was the most kind of obviously kind of horror aesthetic. I don't know, something about it I don't like. I think I prefer it when my lines with the pencil are a bit looser and a little bit more stylized, and I think when the characters are a bit further away, there's a bit more fluidity somehow to using the pencil marks. But this was still fun though, and you know, it is just meant to be like a fun sketching session. It's not meant to be finished work, or it's not meant to be perfect, so just trying to remind myself that. So I think the next page I'm going to do some drawings from film stills from Nosferatu. Then I'll see what time it is because it's already getting kind of late. I'm really enjoying the pencils, so I might just continue with the pencils, and I guess they kind of suit the Halloween theme as well, to be working in grayscale. Anyway, I hope you're enjoying this so far, and I'm going to continue with my fun sketching session. It's such a lovely day, the light is so nice, and it's not too hot, which is really nice as well. So yeah, I am going to continue. When I saw Herzog's Nosferatu for the first time, I was really struck by how beautifully he captured the feeling of environments and space. I felt like I could almost feel the humidity in the air and the smell of the damp stone buildings. Something about the lenses he used for the locations really made the film feel so engrossing. I felt like I was inside the film rather than merely a passive viewer. I also think that's partly why I enjoy older films a lot more, or films that don't over-rely on CGI. There is a certain quality in these films that feels so much more engrossing, which I think is a really excellent element to utilise, especially if you're creating a horror film. So I found Nosferatu in Herzog's version really creepy. I know that might seem obvious for a horror film, but I was actually kind of surprised. I think because his design looks almost cartoonish and a little bit silly, with his ridiculously long nails and front teeth. I have heard that Klaus Kinski is quite unhinged even out of his roles, so I'm sure his portrayal really added something truly unnerving to the character. I also really dislike long nails too, so that would have added to the creep factor. Actress Isabella Gianni is extremely beautiful, so I am really enjoying drawing her. And I loved her interpretation of the role of Lucy. Her character really felt multi-dimensional. I'm trying to work fairly quickly while still maintaining a likeness to the characters. I couldn't quite capture her the way I wanted, but I still like what I created. I'm still really enjoying my super soft 14B and 12B pencils. They are perfect for the theme today too. I really loved sharpening the 12B to a point to add finer but very dark details to Lucy's face. It is a new day because my camera ran out of battery while I was drawing yesterday, and it was getting kind of late anyway, so I got as far as my first Nosferatu drawing and it's pretty much done, but I think I want to add some highlights here to show the hand. But yeah, I think I'm going to continue with pencil and fill this page with a few more bits. But yeah, I hope you're enjoying this so far, and I'm going to continue to soak up the Halloween atmosphere. I thought it would be nice to show a shot of me working at my desk. Working from reference means I'm glancing at my phone a lot to check lines and shadows. I don't have a lot of desk space, so it's more practical for me to just look at things on my phone rather than my laptop screen. I also thought I'd experiment with some slightly different angles by putting my camera on the desk. I recently got a small tripod which is nice and strong to hold my camera. Makes it a lot easier to film on the go or out and about, or if I want to put my camera on my desk. There are so many lovely shots of Lucy. This one kind of feels very gothic novel Bronte-esque, so I couldn't help myself and sketched this one out underneath. I enjoyed the simplicity of it too. After doing a larger and much more detailed drawing, this was a nice little break. Something came over me and I decided I wanted to draw a few stills from the Japanese horror film House, directed by Nobuhiko Obayashi. I watched this very recently and I really loved it. If you want to enjoy the horror genre but get scared easily, I think this one is perfect for you, as it's considered a comedy horror. It is such a fun film, full of surrealism, which I am starting to think is my favourite element in films. Lots of colours, and a cat is one of the main characters. The moment I'm sketching here is where the group of girls who are visiting one of their aunt's house put a watermelon in the well to keep it cool. One of the girls goes missing, and when they pull the watermelon out, they're actually pulling out the head of the girl. But it's not gruesome at all, it's very absurd and mostly fun. The house devours the girls one by one, and all the scenes are delightfully stylized, colourful and playful. Anyway, I couldn't resist drawing this scene, but I actually quickly realised that it's quite hard to draw a face with this expression. I think one of the hardest expressions to draw semi-realistically is a grin or a mouth-open smile. I rarely see it done in a way that doesn't have that uncanny valley sort of feeling. Thankfully, I think Uncanny Valley was what they were going for in this scene, so I can get away with it looking a little strange, hopefully. Let me know if you've seen and enjoyed any of these films in the comments, or give me a horror film recommendation. I'm always looking for new films to watch. Next, I wanted to draw the niece of the aunt whose house they're staying at. This is the moment she changes into a bridal gown, and the part of the film where everything really starts falling apart in the house, and we find out the reason the house is devouring the girls, but I won't spoil it for anyone, of course. Thinking about it, I'm actually only watched this film once, so I'm actually not sure if I'm drawing the aunt or the niece. I'm a bit hazy on that detail, so apologies if you're a mega fan and I got that wrong. I really enjoyed drawing her face. It's a beautiful shot with lots of deep shadows that blend into her dark hair. Another tea break, and back to Lucy from Nosferatu. I love this shot of her sat on a bench at a graveyard by the sea. Something about it feels very nostalgic to me and kind of reminds me of my hometown. I grew up fairly near a beach with sand dunes and long grass like this, and also lived right by a graveyard, so I'm guessing that might be why. It was nice to draw a more simplistic figure and use lots of loose lines for the grass and shading. Apparently I'm just really simping for Lucy today. I couldn't resist another profile sketch of her. I love this shot of her holding a little kitten in her home. Apparently these horror films like to feature silly looking animals. I think I have some time for one more tiny little sketch at the bottom here. I thought it would be really easy as it's mostly all silhouettes, but it was actually strangely hard to make them look lifelike and not like badly drawn stick figures. This is actually a still from Hamlet, 1964, a Russian film adaptation of the Shakespeare play. It just came up amongst a bunch of film stills I selected to maybe draw, and I thought this would be a nice one to end with. It's a shame I didn't draw anything from the original silent film of Nosferatu, but maybe for another time. You should check it out before watching Herzog's, as I feel he did a really good job of paying his respects to the original material and still making the film very much his own. I decided to add a little more shading to the top right corner to make it a bit more balanced, and a few more details to the final sketch at the bottom. And here is my double-page spread filled with Halloween goodness. I hope this helped you get into the spirit of autumn and perhaps inspired some ideas of your own. I think drawing from film stills is a really useful way to practice drawings for storyboarding or storytelling. They often use angles and poses we perhaps wouldn't have thought of otherwise. I'd also be curious to know if you enjoyed this kind of voiceover. I left a bit more space for you to enjoy the sound of the pencils, which I think is really lovely, but I still wanted to interject and add some thoughts as I go through this. Be sure to tell me if you enjoyed this, and I will schedule in more drawing days to film and upload for you. Subscribe if you enjoy process videos, art vlogs and creative experiments. I am currently making art dolls alongside my illustration work. See you in the next video and happy autumn!